Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with Liz Curran, our co-founder of Health Navigators, and she's a holistic cancer health coach certified by the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches and also the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and the Radical Remission Project. She's here to talk more about the work she does and has been doing for quite a few years, helping so many, especially those who are going through cancer, that diagnosis, and helping those with remission as well. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me back.
Excited to have you. Local gal, right? You're over in New
Yep.
Jersey, right outside of city
Yep.
center in PA. So it's Haddon Township, New Jersey.
You got it.
Beautiful. How do we find you in the company?
So my company is the Health Navigators, and our website is healthnavs.com, and we are on Instagram and Facebook at Health Navigators and YouTube at Health Navigators Official.
Beautiful. And a little bit about, what you do. Obviously, I know your backstory and you're also a podcaster as well. You have
Mhm.
that aspect. How would you describe, a little bit about yourself, what you do? And then I know we're going to recap a little bit from last week. It's 10 steps of healing. What was it?
10 healing factors.
Perfect. Exactly. So go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, you got it. So I am a cancer health coach. I work with the Radical Remission Project. I am one of their co-directors as well as having my private practice. So the Radical Remission Project has done research on cancer patients who were considered spontaneous remissions and how the research on how they healed outside of treatment. While we are not against treatment, we believe there's a place for that for those who choose to use it. We do share what came of the research, and those are 10 healing factors that we can talk about today. That really are lifestyle changes that everybody can do, cancer or no cancer. Just really wonderful ways that are very accessible to really dive into living a healthy lifestyle.
All right. Thank you so much. We are ready to do so. We're guiding here along the journey. What were some of the first few steps again? Would you mind just recapping a little?
Absolutely. So there are 10 healing factors. The first three are physical, and they are exercise, diet change, and for cancer patients, making sure that you're using a licensed practitioner for healing herbs and supplements. So utilizing someone that will do the testing on you specifically to figure out what you need, what your deficiencies are. Are you not absorbing nutrients? Are you detoxifying, different things that are needed, and then providing supplements for that. So those are the three physical. And the stance on diet really, because it is such a broad topic, what we like to do is report what the radical remission survivors did in the research, what came out of the interviews with those 1,500 people who survived against the odds of their diagnosis. And so there's a lot of talk about diet in every world, but also in the cancer world, the plant-based diet and the kind of that more keto, high-fat, low-carb diet, and everywhere in between. So what we have found in the research is that the plant-based diet is widely utilized. It really is very interesting to learn that the type of cancer you have may dictate the type of diet you need to be on. So that is something that you, again, want to get testing and figure out what you need. But ultimately, the radical remission survivors all filled their plates, half their plate for every meal and snack with fruits and vegetables. So making sure that they were getting whole foods in their bodies, strong nutrients, and making sure that that was something they prioritized. And that was consistent across all of the interviews, which was really interesting findings for sure.
Wow, you said meal and snack.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So grab that apple.
Yes, I need a reminder. All right.
Yeah, so that's the way that diet played in. What's interesting about the exercise factor is, so there are two books that came from this research. Radical Remission was the first one. It came out in 2014, and that was a New York Times bestseller because it was such a new concept. My colleague Kelly Turner actually went traveled the world, 10 countries in 10 months, and really dove into interviewing these patients and their healers on what they did to heal. And nobody had ever been researching them before. So she was, firsthand meeting these people and learning what they were doing. And as she did more and more interviews, she started seeing these commonalities, and she was thrilled because this was all part of her PhD research for Cal Berkeley, getting her PhD program underway. So that is a really powerful backbone to these 10 factors, is that it is firsthand research that has been done.
Oh,
And yes, so the third factor we're just going to talk about is exercise. And that factor was not in the first book. The first book had 9 healing factors. The second book, Radical Hope, came out in 2020. We added in exercise because the research was predominantly done on people who had been sent home on hospice after
ah,
either they hadn't done treatment at all or the treatments that they were on were no longer working. So they healed after being in a very kind of dire situation. And exercise was not top of mind. It wasn't something that they were thinking about when they were being
ah,
interviewed as something worth mentioning. Because, exercise, the word exercise has its own connotation. So,
true.
what we did in the second book is we added in exercise and movement. So, movement is really a better way to describe how people went from being completely, bedridden to being able to get up on their own, being able to, walk around the room a little bit on their own, to ultimately functioning in a normal way with full use of their bodies. So fascinating stuff.
Definitely. Wow. And, there's been, you've shared some stories with us in the past, and I hope to have, hear more testimonials in a sense of people that you've been working with. And of course, people who are on your podcast who share these amazing stories, because it's always like jaw dropping. It's like, this really works. This helped. It's just, it's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so the mental and emotional ones are ones that can be done at home for free. If you have the dedication and the interest, you absolutely can apply these. So, first one being that we want to release suppressed emotions. So this is a factor that kind of encompasses, this is a big one, encompasses our traumas, our stresses, are areas that where we would work maybe with a therapist and work through
Uh-huh.
some of those things, but also things like nostalgia that can get blocked up in your body, living in the past, kind of wishing away the present and really wishing that you were at a different stage of your previous part of your life, is also considered a suppressed emotion. So we want to keep those emotions out and clear and, not stuck in our bodies so that we can have optimal health.
And that's what it's all about. And your own journey, and you mentioned your sister, you've shared your stories, and, so many people who've been affected by this.
Yes. Yeah. So I came to the work as a health coach. My sister passed of breast cancer in 2014. And since then, I have begun working with cancer patients about 4 years ago in the sense of coaching. And we really love this work because we learn so many wonderful things and meet so many great people and watch them heal. And it's really, I feel like I get to witness miracles every day, which is really wonderful.
Aw.
So, yeah, a couple more of the factors. We have increasing positive emotions, making sure that you're doing something that fills you with joy at least 5 minutes a day, if not more. Using that as a starting point, we say that's a muscle that needs to be maintained. So we need to work on that, making sure that you find joy your way. Every one of these is unique to each person.
Yep.
So that could be watching comedy, it could be journaling, gratitude, it could be talking to a friend that just makes you laugh. Something that brings you joy. And if you can bring laughter into it, all the better. Two other ones that we put together, we kind of pair them up as make it easier to remember. So we just did releasing suppressed emotions and increasing positive emotions. And the next one is following your intuition. So really tapping into your gut and listening to your body as it tries to communicate to you, regardless of what your brain is saying, whether you are in a safe situation or whether you feel aligned with the situation. And in our work, we refer to that as making sure that you feel really comfortable with your medical team and that you feel comfortable asking questions and getting
Hmm.
answers and if, making sure there's an open dialogue and there is someone there to answer questions for you. So if that doesn't feel aligned, it's really valuable to either add other practitioners to your, what we call our CEO's boardroom table, our health boardroom table, making sure that you maintain the position as the CEO and invite other practitioners to your table as well, so that you can then make sure you have a more well-rounded care and you feel really supported and seen as a patient.
Awesome. Love
So
it. Remind
yeah,
us how we can contact you, please.
absolutely. So you can find me at Health Navs, Navs for Health Navigators, healthnavs.com, and on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Health Navigators. YouTube is at Health Navigators Official.
All right. Thank you so much. In the
Sure.
meantime, we're going to continue the conversation. By the way, your podcast, just remind us when and where we could hear it. And would love to hear some of the upcoming stories or something recently that's happened. A guest came on and, of course, shared what experience with you.
Yeah, so the podcast is called the Radical Remission Project Stories That Heal podcast. It is on everywhere you can find podcasts. We just started in November. We have 24 great episodes. It's been so well received and so well loved, and we're just so proud of the work that we've put into it, because it was a long time coming. It's been long awaited, and we share healing stories of people who have overcome the odds of their diagnosis, meaning they either healed without any kind of treatment, they healed after treatment had failed and they tried alternative methods, or they are doing an integrative approach and they have overcome the odds of their diagnosis that had a 25% or less 5-year survival rate. So people who have been able to kind of get to that later stage in life where they're past the scanxiety and the worries of every, 6 months or every 3 months or however often those scans are being done, and they're living a normal life, and they've been able to share that late stage cancer is not a death sentence, and it is something that is possible to heal from, regardless of the path of treatment that you choose. So lots of different ways. And what's so nice about these healing factors is that they are all immune boosting. So they're all backed by science. We have a radical remission workshop that we present where we share all about these healing factors. It's a 10-hour workshop. People can find out more about that on healthnavs.com. And we do we walk each participant through the factors for 1 hour each. So they get a really good deep dive into each of the healing factors, where we talk about why or how it came up in the research, some of the science that supports it that's in medical journals, and then a healing story of someone who found that factor kind of was their secret to success. And then we do an activity to bring the workshop participants to learn how to implement that factor in their life. So there's a lot of sharing and a lot of camaraderie built between the people that take the workshops together. We do this work virtually. I have a workshop starting just in the beginning of April. If anyone is listening at this time and would like to join, that's certainly available. And then we're going to be in person in upstate New York at Omega Institute Memorial Day weekend on May 22nd through 24th. I believe is the date, or the 24th through the 26th of May. So that is an in-person experience if you'd like to join us for the Radical Remission Workshop. It is not only for cancer patients, it is for anyone that is looking to overcome the odds of any kind of diagnosis. We've seen in our second book, we have stories about people who have healed from MS, from Alzheimer's, from ALS, things that
Wow.
feel really insurmountable, just from what we know as, the everyday person would know to understand those diseases. So we do have people who have overcome the odds of those diagnoses, and we love sharing that. So please join us at one of these workshops if if this feels like something you want to learn more about, even if you're just a health seeker looking to add some more healing into your everyday. I like to think of these factors as great for mental health.
Mm-hmm.
So these were the factors that I found after my sister passed in 2014. This book also came out in 2014, so I did not know of it when I was grieving.
Oh,
And so I came to learn about it a couple years later. And when I looked in the book and saw what the healing factors were, I was like, wow, these are all the things I did to heal from my loss. And it has been really empowering to see, other people be able to use them in so many different ways. So if you're looking for mental health support and this is something that resonates with you, I also encourage you to check it out.
Right. And also you for college, didn't you study abroad in Norway or
The Netherlands, yep.
Netherlands? Yes. And we talked about this before, but it was impactful. I remember you, well, I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was about their lifestyle of how people were working.
Yes,
Could you remind me
yes,
of that? Because that
yeah.
kind of brought you on this journey and you brought it
Mhm.
back here. What was
Yeah,
it? Don't work
it
so hard or
inspires me. It's rather than in America, we tend to live to work. So work is our purpose.
yeah.
And the Europeans are more of a work to live. So the work is the means to their beautiful life. And we're here. We are very we identify very strongly with our career. So sometimes we can get caught up in that and we live to work. So work becomes our life.
Uh-huh.
And it's just important to really embrace some of these lifestyle changes so that you can have that really wonderful, fulfilling life. And at the very end, wherever we all end, all of our lives are going to end at some point. So wherever they do end, you want to make sure that you feel really, really strongly that you gave back to this world and it gave to you, and that you had a beautiful time while you were here.
Oh, well, this might be random, but it's topical. Bernie Sanders was on the news the other day. I don't know if you heard anything about this, but
No.
he's talking about how he's petitioning. He already put a bill into where I don't know, but he wants us to approve and eventually have a 32-hour work week because there's so many, in all the research and the studies and how he already put the bill together, like the benefits of working a 32-hour week for
Yeah,
us. I mean, I'm a proponent, and I'm assuming someone like you would be too. But yeah, Google it later when we're off the
I
air
will.
and
Yeah,
look into it because I mean
I
that's
love that.
something he'll need a lot of petitions for. But yeah, the productivity people will work harder, um, and yeah, it inspires you more to know you're going to have that day off. And then he was even talking about, well, if you did work, like people are questioning like a 40-hour week, well that would be time and a half. He said, like
Oh
anything at
yeah.
32 hours will be time and a half. So it's
Yeah.
like yeah, so he's adapting this overseas type of Netherlands way, um, and yeah, other countries too. And don't they have like 2 hour like breaks during the day, siestas, and it's just
Yeah,
like
right. Different countries have, their different cultural interpretations. I would say, honestly, even if we could just have 40-hour work weeks, that would be a change. I think a lot of times
yes.
people work 40 hours a week, but really they're there 50, 60, sometimes even more.
And then
And
don't,
that,
and what about the commuting to work? That's also
right.
weighing on people and sucking the life out of us. And
Yep.
we have one of the lowest like life expectancies in the world. Hello, people, we're doing something wrong and disease, right?
Right. Yes.
Ah,
So let's get back to these healing factors and incorporate them into our lives, right? So
yeah.
so we did increasing positive emotions, releasing suppressed emotions. We touched on empowerment. We touched on intuition, making sure that you're listening to your body. We also want to share that deepening your spiritual connection is important. And in that
Hmm.
way, we kind of present that in a secular way that is not religiously religion is great if that's your thing, but some people it isn't. And so we say, give meditation a try. So, utilizing that healing tool to calm the mind and give yourself some silence and some space to really connect deeply with what's going on inside and allowing it some space to come to the surface and be acknowledged. So that is deepening your spiritual connection. And the last few we have increasing social support, and that is to make sure that you are surrounded by and really feel connected to people that really understand and you can relate to. So they love you, you love them, you understand each other. And when you have a diagnosis, it's really important that that group of people really respects your choices, because it's hard enough to have cancer, but it's even harder if you choose a path that your partner or your parents or your siblings or your friends don't agree with. And everybody has an opinion. And I encourage all of you to keep your opinions to yourself unless asked when it comes to someone with a cancer diagnosis. Most often, they already have a plan and they don't need a million people giving them their opinions about what they think, oh, here's a great doctor that I recommend, or I heard this food is really good for cancer. People are on a really stressful path. And if they are interested in learning more about those kinds of things, there are plenty of naturopathic oncologists and nurse practitioners and health coaches and practitioners all over the world really, but in our country that can provide um, a lot of resources. And it can just be really overwhelming if you're newly diagnosed to hear from a million different people with some their thoughts on your business.
Well, thank you for this. There's still more to what you have to offer. Do you want to talk a little about the Thriver membership, maybe?
I do, yes, absolutely. You read my mind. So
See?
in the spirit of increasing social support and our last factor, strong reasons for living is having purpose, we bring those two things together in our Thriver membership. So at the Health Navigators, we have a membership for people who are living with a diagnosis, a life-changing diagnosis, where we bring in experts to teach us education. We provide healing circles if you need to share your emotional state. We just have chances for people to gather together and talk about what's going on in their lives, whether it's related to the diagnosis or not. We have different coaches that teach different things. We have a functional nutritionist on our staff that shares a monthly talk where people can kind of come with their questions, and she'll guide with some of her wisdom. And then we have a healthy habits chat for some of those day-to-day practices that might need some accountability. And then we also have Qigong that we offer, which is a kind of the grandfather of Tai Chi. And so we do offer some Qigong for some movement. And we also have an embodiment coach on our staff as well. And she teaches people how to really connect with their feelings in their bodies and associating them with emotions and allowing them to surface. So kind of that releasing suppressed emotions factor, giving them some tools to use. So many wonderful things that come together in we call it our cancer wellness community. And we are so happy to continue to invite people to join. And actually, we do have a free coupon code if you visit healthnavs.com and you want to join the
Awesome.
membership. Yep, the membership coupon code is free month, and it's the whole word free, all caps, FREE, and then a capital M for month. And the rest of the month, the word month is lowercase. So FREEM, and then in lowercase ONTHLY, or free month, not free monthly. So free month. Please join us if you want to give it a try. If you're someone that's living with, kind of a really life-changing
Mm-hmm.
diagnosis and haven't had the ability to really connect with people who are inspired and looking forward and trying to make lifestyle changes work, and increase their quality of life and increase their longevity, and have a positive attitude, this is the place for you to do that.
Thank you so much. Health Navigators, when is the next podcast live for us to listen to?
We will begin season 2 on April 3rd, and we will have our next round of healing stories on there where we share people who have overcome the odds of their diagnosis, as well as people who are healers, people who have witnessed at least 5 radical remissions in their practice. And then they share what their modality is to give people some resources and some knowledge about what is out there.
Oh, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you. And thanks for being here, for joining us, walking us through all these steps and talking about healing in general. And the Overcome the Odds is your signature coaching program, right? And
Mhm.
there's also the Radical Remission programs. We've talked about that. And again, reach out, initial conversation. She's here to talk to you and make that connection and see if it's a good fit for both of you.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Please feel free to reach out for coaching if you feel like that's something that you need as well.
Aw, thank you so much, Liz. And by the way, your co-host Carla, right? She's a good friend of
Mhm.
yours.
Yes, absolutely.
She's your co-host on the Radical Remission Project.
Yes, she is. And my partner in my business. So she is in her own right, she is a radical remission survivor. She has overcome metastatic breast cancer and has been no
Mm-hmm.
evidence of disease for 8 years.
Oh, God bless her, and tell her we said hello. And thank you guys for being here, for joining us and doing what you do. Also, check them out on social media. I know it's Health Navigators on Instagram. You're on Facebook as well, right?
Yep, absolutely.
All
Yep.
right. We'll search for you there. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And to all of our listeners, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.